Welcome. Today we have a spicy episode. Let's dive in. What if we approach dating differently? Okay, wait a minute. Let me backtrack for a second. We're gonna backtrack because I just have to say disclaimer. I didn't really plan today's episode. I just have so many. I have like at least 80 topics that I want to cover in my notebook, and I didn't have the time to plan today's episode. But I feel like this is gonna be a series, the dating series. So we are today's just gonna be a chit chat. Okay, so my apologies if I'm all over the place. You get to see a bit of behind the scene of this crazy mind of mine. Crazy mind of mine. Ooh, okay, all right. Let's get started. And today's episode is inspired by yours truly. I'm going to call myself out in today's episode. So, I wanted to talk about dating because I feel like I have my notes here. Okay, I know this doesn't look professional. I have my notes on another cell phone, but it is what it is. Okay, we're so hurt in the dating scene. We have so many conditions. But I actually noticed that we are unwilling to take actions, as if we're unwilling to give someone a chance unless they're almost short of perfection. And we're also very fast to write people off. Hold up, let me see if I'm recording because okay, I am. Last time I did a whole episode and I realized I didn't press record. So yeah, I kind of noticed that. And for once, I'm not calling other people out. I'm actually calling myself out today. And I noticed that I did that myself. So I went on a date recently, and I'm on edge. Yeah, I might be like a fun person on the date, but my mind is over analyzing everything. And I'm not even trying to do that. That's just how I am. I pay attention to every little thing, or even if I think I'm not. But at the end, when I get home, my brain just gets all those downloads, and that's it. And I catch myself doing these weird things lately, like finding a way to find their you know their birthday, and I ask them for their birthday in the most creative way. Why? Because hello, as an astrologer, I'm already trying to see, okay, wait a minute, what are you? Are we compatible? Nope. And I'm already writing them off. Um, so that is story for another day. But on that note, you if you don't know your birth chart, definitely do get your birth chart reading for me with me. It's not just a birth chart, it's literally your soul map. You can see everything there. You could see your past life, what were you struggle in your past life, where your soul would like to head in this lifetime. What is your soul? What's the reason why your soul came back here? What is your soul's priority? The lessons that your soul would like to learn, and the strength of your characters, the shadows. You can learn all of these things. And these are the tools that these are like these like, you cannot. I feel like this should be mandatory. The second someone is born, they should have their birth chart, you know? And which is the reason why I find myself, calculating people's birth chart like that. And is it ethical? I mean, I don't go dive deep, but I just do like the sign compatibility at least. And but even then, it's very dangerous to do that. We need to be careful, right? Not to jump to conclusion too fast, because in the birth chart, it's not just when it comes to two people coming together, it's not just about the sun sign, right? Because there can be a lot of other elements in the birth chart that can actually make these people be compatible. So I'm calling myself out. I need to be careful and not do that, and just give people a chance. So this is what inspired today's episode, right? What if we date differently? I feel like also for me, what happened is, and by the way, I also want this to be a discussion. I know it's hard because I'm the only person talking here, but do leave a comment. You can leave a comment on all of the platforms, and if you're leaving a comment, definitely do leave a 5-star rating and share this with other friends that you have that would be interested in this. But I want to know what your experience has been, because what was I gonna say? Because like I said, I didn't plan this today's episode. Well, it's planned, but it's not planned like I usually do plan it to the details, to the T. So yes, before I digress, I noticed that a lot of us, I know I did it. we don't want to waste time, especially us women. We could be like, we could be so, I feel like, because generally speaking, we can really get to analyze someone and then there's no chance. You lost before you even begin, before the game has even like begun. Forget it, you out, you disqualified. So, and I noticed that there was a lot of pressure that we tend to put where we don't want to waste time. Don't waste my time. And I'm not even talking about going on a date with like a bunch of questions and disqualifying the person on the first round, but I'm talking about also we go on a date looking for our soulmate. And that's crazy because a few weeks ago, I would have never really been recorded this episode right now because I was in that camp too. But I'm like, what if we're approaching it the wrong way? We're putting so much pressure by going out there looking for our soulmate. Instead, why don't we see it as every relationship has tremendous lessons to teach us. Now, I'm not saying let's all go on a one night stand rampage out there. Listen, if one night stands are your thing, I'm not like knocking anybody. It's like, just do you. But I'm just saying I'm also not here telling us that, oh, we should all go on a one night stand and just like forget everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm actually saying, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, yes, while we're looking for something serious or a serious person, and we need to remove the pressure, the stress, and while simultaneously committing to giving it our best. Are you catching the drift? So, as someone who's been studying Kabbalah, this is literally one thing that really frustrated me at the beginning, how everything in life is a paradox. And one of my one of my teachers, Eitan Yardeni, I do a lot of classes with him and I like to listen to his lectures. And this is where there was a turning point for me because I was frustrated with the paradoxes of everything because you're thinking, well, if this is, everyone's saying Kabbalah is the wisdom of life, but then why are there so many contradiction? And then I had to realize that this is life. Everything in a way is a contradiction. Everything in a way is a paradox, because everything in life needs to be balanced. So in order to have balance, you need to have a bit of the right side, and you also need to have a little bit of the left side, and then you meet in the middle. And that's pretty much how a lot of us will perceive it, as contradictions and as paradoxes. But you know how they say the truth is somewhere in the middle. So in a way, this is kind of how I think like we need to approach life more with this balanced view instead of being too extreme on the right. In the case of dating, that would probably be, oh my goodness, I'm looking for Mr. Perfect. You know, I often hear people approach dating with a laundry list of 100 items. I mean, it doesn't take much arguing to say that this is definitely not healthy. And at the same time, we don't want to be on the other side either, on the left side, where we're not approaching it with intention, and where you just like you just not approaching it with intention. So we really want to be, I think we need to be a little bit more in the middle, right? And this is what inspired, these are like those thoughts that inspired today's episode, right? Because I'm like, what if we approach dating differently? So it's striving to bring both of these two sides of the equation so we can balance that equation. By the way, I used to love equations. Like, is that, I think I'm coming up with crazy examples. But anyways, let's just ground this a little bit more. So yes, it might sound very complicated to do, but again, this is life is often gonna call us to walk that middle line, and it's a fine dance, right? I'm not saying it's easy, but I feel like it's more fulfilling that way. So it would be so much more fun if we all approach dating. Well, of course, vet the person, but also let's all give people a chance. Like I said, again, vet the person, right? Because not everyone deserves a chance. And this is where we need to still apply discernment. which is something that a skill that you can keep working on if you feel like you can't trust your own judgment. The more you become aware of it, the more consciousness you put there, the better you will get at, your discernment skills. So we can all improve that. But like I said, it's amazing if we could approach dating like this, make it more light and a bit more fun, and remove the pressure. Yes, we want commitment. Like, again, I'm not here telling us, let's just, throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's not what I'm saying. But let's just release the expectations that we have. So many expectations. My need this, my need that. I need this, I need that from you. You're not doing this. No, no, no. We need to practice releasing expectations, but while simultaneously showing up as our best selves and committing. So I'm really excited to do this. I just, like I said, I just recorded an episode about the new energy of the month. I'm recording this in the month of Scorpio, and I definitely go check that episode out. It was about how Scorpio is also going to push us towards like new challenges. And I really think it's that new energy that is making me see things differently. And I'm actually excited. Like lately, I've been seeing challenges as exciting, tiny little mission, you know, side quest, like adventures. And life has been so exciting lately. It's like you should totally try it. Of course, some days are harder than others, but approaching life like this, it's like you will find yourself like on a high, like on a whole other level. So, which brings me to my next point, because one of my mentors was saying how we build these fortresses, right? I don't remember who said that actually. I know because when I'm studying, I take a lot of notes and I let the wisdom, sink in. But sometimes often I will like, I always write down where it's coming from. But this time I don't remember which one of my mentors said that. But one of my mentors said that we are so good at building these fortresses, for ourselves, which is great because we have to protect ourselves, right? And those fortresses, they serve a purpose because they keep the wrong people out. But the problem is that they're not only keeping the wrong people out, but they're also keeping the good people out. And that is the problem. A matter of fact, it keeps everyone and everything out, good and bad. So, but then I started thinking about it. Then what's the purpose of life? We're so scared to take risk. Isn't that akin to dying a slow death? I don't want to get all poetic and all like sad, like super sobby here, but I really like I've been having a crazy like consciousness change lately, and I think this is where it's coming from. This was the click for me. We're protecting ourselves so much, but by protecting ourselves, we're not letting ourselves live and thrive. Because it's like when you suffocate something too much and you grasp it too much, it dies. You know? It's it's like I remember this I read this thing somewhere once that if you love a flower so much, don't cut it off. Just appreciate it from afar. You can water it down. You can water it, appreciate it, but let it thrive. Don't cut it off. Now I'm also a hypocrite because I also love flowers, but I really like that saying. It's just we cannot shut down too much and hold on to things too tight. We need to also be willing to take risk and go out there in the wild and have faith, have trust, and have absolute certainty that we do have the tools to pick ourselves up whenever life gets hard. This mindset has totally shifted my mind, totally shifted my life. Instead of being so scared, like, because why do we do that? Because we're scared naturally, so because we don't want to get hurt. But if we can start building our trust, our certainty, sometimes, you know, what can help you build that certainty is remove the the heaviness, remove the tension from you, and put it back in the higher force, in the universe, in the creator, in the light, the divine, whatever, however you relate to it. Just put that belief back into the higher power and have faith and have trust that whatever's going to come your way, you have the tool to overcome them. That way we can go out there and be bold. And I have proof for you that, you know, you've never been left alone, because when you look back, I'm pretty sure if you take the time, take a couple of minutes after this, or pause, take a minute and think about one episode in your life where you thought you could never make it out. It was so dark. It could be from like a health scare that you had. It could be from like a relationship, like a terrible heartbreak that you had, a terrible breakup, divorce, some issues with your child, your children, if you have kids. Or it could be an issue at work. It could even be from something very like, even more like minimal, like, I don't know, you were at work and then you were wearing white and then you spilled coffee over you and it was so embarrassing and you wanted to disappear at that moment and you thought you would never, like, you felt so embarrassed. It could be anything, it could be literally anything. And I'm pretty sure you will be able to find one time, one episode where you thought like you could not, there's no way you're going to make it through. And then you made it through, right? Because you're not alone. We're never alone, and you made it to the other side, and that actually made you stronger. That made you really have more strength and self-belief in your capacity, because again, we're never alone. So it would be so cool if we approach dating also like that. Release that grasp, that death grip that we have, and all looking for like, it's so much pressure, and try to approach dating with that childlike attitude. When a child goes outside to play, everything is so magical and so wow. It's like it's the best thing ever. And sadly, I think society kind of like it kills that for us really, really quick, right? Because then we're thrown in school, we learn about homeworks, responsibility, you need to be number one, and then they kind of kill some of that magic for us. But this episode, I wanted it to be an invitation back for us to really renew this magic into our life, and bring that light in everything we're doing, and also bring that light, because this is a dating episode. Bring that light into dating. Remove the pressure of you need to find your soulmate ASAP in exactly 23 days and 15 hours and 10 seconds. I'm exaggerating, but you get my point, right? And also we need to remove that crazy expectation that I actually was guilty of. Like, I don't want to waste time. I'm just going to be one person, and it better be that one person that's going to be spending like the next 50 million years with me and finding my person. Don't waste my time. Yeah, but I feel like we are coming out, when we are in that mindset, we're definitely, there's an energy, because everything is energy, that every person has an energy field. When we're coming with this mindset and we're going through life with that mindset, we are emitting a certain energy that might be off-putting, or a negative energy in the form, in the shape that we might not even be aware of, but other people can pick up on it. And as someone who's extremely sensitive to energies, and especially other people's energies, I can totally vouch for that. So this is literally my invitation for us to kind of reframe this and let it be a bit more fun. I'm pretty sure you always hear of these people who often might annoy you, and to tell you, oh, you know what, you need to let it go. When you're not looking, that's when you will see it coming. I know this can feel dismissive a lot of times. I'm not here trying to dismiss your hardship and your struggle in the dating scene, because I know the dating scene is crazy. But ironically, what these people are trying to say is that by releasing things, this is when we actually attract them to us. Because when we have that desperate energy, it is actually a repellent. This is literally a rule, an energetic rule. And if you don't believe me, you can even look within your life. If you've ever had that experience where someone comes at you, you know, or let's say, imagine you go on a date tomorrow and the person would be like, okay, I want to walk down the aisle next week. Are you ready? You'd be like, okay, whoa, whoa, slow down. Just slow your horses. Just hold them off a second. It's the same thing because that person is coming up with a super strong energy. And in Kabbalah, we say like vessel, there's no vessel to hold that energy. It's exactly the same thing. That's why when people are coming at you too strong, they turn you off. Or when someone is too needy, or when you have desperation in the air, you tend to like repulse things from you. So this is what I wanted to say, and because what's happening is when we're looking at the landscape, something is obviously not working, right? We are in that situation now, in that period where we all want to play it cool. That, I mean, that's the dating culture. That's the mainstream dating culture. Doesn't mean that. Also, don't ever fall for those mainstream culture, because even if there's mainstream culture, there's still people, plenty of people every day are finding their, a great partner. So we need to also be careful we don't fall into that Debbie Downer, you know, attitude. Because, but talking about the general, mainstream, what am I looking for? The mainstream culture of dating is that we are too cool for school. We want to play cool, right? And everyone wants casual. Well, everyone, quote unquote, right? We want casual hookups. Well, not me. I'm definitely not into that at all. But they want you to believe that people want casual hookups. And casual hookups are on the rise. But again, I'm not judging anyone there, because I've also felt loneliness. Like, no one is immune to loneliness. Even if you're in a relationship, by the way, it doesn't matter. No one is immune to loneliness. That's just a side, a symptom of being human and having a human experience. So what I'm trying to say is that casual hookups are on the rise because we're lacking. We're feeling loneliness more than ever. Even also, they keep telling you that there is a loneliness epidemic, all on the rise. But at the same time, people don't want to commit. So it's kind of like, you get my point? Because again, it's coming up to fear. We don't want to take risk. We have this false sense of control, but we don't realize that the true magic really starts happening once we release. Because when we release, ironically, that's when we connect to the divine flow. And you're going to be like, oh, Stephanie, what are you talking about, divine flow? Divine flow, without making this too mystical, is, I like to think of it as the default energy of the world. We always we have so much ego. We can falsely fall into the belief that I need to make X happen. I need to make XYZ happen. If I don't make it happen, nothing's going to happen, which is really a major illusion, by the way, because we're not really making anything happen. It's all illusion. What I mean by divine flow is, ever wonder, like, again, lately, I spent the entire last summer, by the way, feeling super connected to nature and using nature as my guide. And you can do that wherever you are. Wherever you are, you're gonna find some nature. Even if it's not the beach, you will find something. There's at least a tree, some grass. You will find a form of nature, and take the time to connect and observe them. We're not doing anything. I'm pretty sure you can think about a tree that's there. The tree just like is just works. It just connected to a greater energetic grid, and it just flows. There is the rain. We're not controlling the rain, but the rain happens, and the rain feeds the tree, and then the tree is just doing its own thing. The trees, and well, I like to think that the trees are out there worrying about, what is life going to be for it in a week. The tree is just existing, and the tree is just absolutely totally surrendered to the tree does surrender to the grid, surrender to the flow of life, the divine flow. And things just work season after season, even when the tree looks like it's dead. And the next thing you know, a few months later, it's spring and the tree is back to life again. And the tree's not there, and even if, and by the way, I've also learned that the trees have an amazing, fascinating network amongst them where they all help out one another. If there's another tree who's sick, the tree would use the roots to kind of like send nutrients to another sister, brother tree. and and it's just beautiful. The tree just surrenders. So this is what I'm trying to do in dating a little bit. Again, don't go out there twisting my words, right? Not everyone deserves a chance, right? So of course we need to do the minimum of screening and having discernment. But once we get there, we need to have a little bit of faith. We need to have a little bit of faith and a little bit of trust, a little bit of surrender so we can leave space for the divine to come in and for the magic to happen. And again, like I said, I'd love to hear your comments on that, your experience. I know some of us are really burnt out with the dating scene and they're not gonna you might not approach it with those. But if you burn out, take a break. And then really I'd like to encourage you to really assess how you're approaching this and find ways to release control a little bit more. If you like me and you like to check out the person's date, very fast, instead of doing it in the first, couple of dates, maybe challenge yourself to do it 1 month in and focus on another positive aspect of that person. Try to find the spark, the light within that person and try to connect with that instead. So yes, that is what I wanted to say, and I'd like to encourage you to sit down with yourself with your journal and see, is there any avoidance anywhere. That could probably be another 20 episodes. I did see for myself there was a lot of avoidance, lots of avoidance tendencies. And where can you turn on the light? Where can you highlight some fears that you might have? And yes, and on that note, I also wanted to say that you don't have to do things alone. If you wanted, you could book a session with me. I also do synastry readings and then birth chart readings, and we could do all sorts of amazing things. I also like to do lots of channeling to help people find, connect with their soul. And really, the goal is I like us to start living life with more magic. And that was the intention behind today's episode. And I will see you in the next one. Don't forget, you are an absolute diamond, and there is nothing that you won't be able to overcome. So we need to start approaching dating with that optimism and that joy and that spark and excitement once again. And on that note, have an amazing day. I will see you in the next one.